crisis that we hope we are out of that, and the end of that very, very dangerous thing that has hurt a good denouement. We are going to talk about a journalist that is in crisis. Can some facts be irresponsible reporting? In crisis, can some facts be considered irresponsible reporting? And we understand our situation because in Cameroon, it is said that some truth can even spark fire and destroy. That is what the men of the press, the women of the press that we have here on the set, and the civil society actor are going to let us know. Permit me introduce to you Kilian Gala Chimtom, who is a freelance journalist. He is also an economic chronicler. Kilian, you're welcome to today's edition of Press.
Yeah, thank you, Kilian. It's always good to be here, and I just got your intro there. The topic is exceptionally exciting, and I'll be happy to talk about it.
Thank you very much for coming. And we have Promise Akante, who is a journalist with Cam 10 TV, call it Cam This TV. She has been a journalist, field journalist, work in several other media houses. You're welcome to this program today.
Thank you very much, Kilian. We are so happy to have this topic come up, and we sincerely hope that what we are going to see on this platform is going to contribute in a very fair way to nation building, and constructively we are going to come out of the different crises with little or no trouble.
Yes, it starts by speaking. It even starts by dreaming. Thank you very much. That is why we are here. And let me introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, Cyprian Obi Ntiamba, who is the economic desk editor in the Guardian Post newspaper. You're welcome to Press Out today.
Thank you, Kilian, for bringing me here this morning. I feel privileged to be here, and like a journalist with one of the frontline newspapers in the country, I think I will contribute my quota to this. Thank you.
Frontline newspaper, you have to be frontline in everything you say here, and we're going to let you tell us how frontline you are. And with that, I'm going to introduce Henshaw Orok Are, who is a civil society actor. He has so much to do with broadcasting also. You're welcome to this program, sir.
Good afternoon to my co-panelists. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Kilian Danzifon. It's a pleasure always being here to edify the public on choosing topic, and I'm happy that this topic is there because it's something very important which you have been talking behind the doors, but now it's open. Thanks once more for inviting me.
Thank you very much. Since you've talked so much about the topic, I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that it is in crisis can some facts be irresponsible reporting. Emanuela Vemnui begins this part of the program with the press review. Emanuela.
The past week was marked by yet more bloodshed in the northwest and southwest regions. Killings galore as armed conflict feeds from Global Gaze, Headlines Newswatch, as suspected Amber fighters kidnapped 15 students and vice principal of ESU stripped students naked and burned classrooms in the Guardian Post. Barbaric acts that cause an outrage in municipal updates, pushing governments to prescribe synergy between stakeholders to destroy such pockets of resistance in the two regions. In Cameroon Tribune, before Tanganji fires Lucifer's curse on Amber fighters in the media, the Nigerian diplomat and Northwest governor discussed security initiatives in the horizon. City dwellers are reported stranded as fuel scarcity grips Yaoundé and other towns in the post-weekender, provoking fuel rationing in Cameroon Insider. And as Cameroon Tribune announces that the stability in the supply of the precious liquid remains awaited, the population is reported in agony and businesses torn by the fuel scarcity in the Guardian Post. moves to foster technical education than Kamanu on newspaper columns as Bia's envoy inaugurates government bilingual technical high school in Sam in municipal update. Strides Cameroon Tribune describes as high level, but in the eye of the median, PM gives thumbs up to Professor Nalova Lyunga for the new school infrastructure, especially after unveiling ultra-modern government technical high school Marwa in municipal updates. To Cameroon Insider, government poised for more youth employability. At a time, Shikam president tackles Cameroon's judiciary over Dampulo MTN saga in the Herald Tribune. The Guardian Post reports that Celestin Tawamba has taken sides with MTN, faulting Cameroon's justice system. Just when Pamor board adopts 12.2 billion CFA funds as company's 2024 budget in the Sun, the media focuses on accolades on Pamor management from board for performing amid challenges. And then government secures 20 billion CFA funds to service Sonara debts in the Guardian Post. The Post sees this as Sonara clearing debts in view of government's plan to rebuilding the refinery. In politics, Professor Maurice Kamto picks another MRC mandate, scoring 99.23% at elective General Assembly in the Eden. Then opposition drums fresh coalition to unseat Bia in the Guardian Post. And immediately Kamto launches new anti-Bia coalition after landslide re-election as MRC leader in Newswatch. At the time, Dr. Fonkwa is new president of Cameroon Medical Council in Cameroon Insider. The paper further indicates that the Medical Council is now back to the theatre. Cameroon is then ranked 139 on 163 on the 2023 Global Peace and Terrorism Index in the news. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you, Emanuela. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic that we're treating on Press Hour today is in crisis. Can facts be irresponsible reporting at one point if those facts become dangerous if they are churned out anyhow? Where is the social responsibility of the journalist or of the reporter? Those are some of the questions that we are going to be asking here and getting the answers from the press lady and gentlemen who are here with me in the studio. Now, we just look at you, Promise. How did you as a reporter and you as a news organ treat the event, the field crisis that went to a certain level that before in this country has gone with strikes and with destruction, but this time there was the responsibility in the part of the public, in the part of the reporters, and in the part of everyone who was involved, because nothing happened. Cameroonians were so responsible the way they handled something that was very delicate. How did you as a reporter and you as a news organ, Cam 10 TV, Cam this TV?
So, Killian, there are some things that you cannot really mask. No matter how well you want to craft it, you cannot just hide the facts, like the images of people who are queued up at radio stations. You cannot hide it. You cannot conceal the fact that there are people who are lined up for several hours. I think as an individual, first of all, I spent about 2 hours at a fuel station waiting for the line for the car to be served. And yes, as a reporter, you just cannot pretend that you will not tell the people that this is what is happening on the ground. Now, trying to be responsible, you ask a lot of questions, because apart from reporting the reality, the facts on the ground, the filling stations are dry. The cars need to be refilled. But we also ask a lot of questions from Cameroonians themselves. What do you think is the problem? But also from the specialists, because we know that we have a lot of crude oil in the country. How then comes that we don't have the finished product? And somebody was likening it like one of these villages in the northwest, inside northwest, where they produce corn, and then they cannot refine it into beer, so the corn is all exported, then beer is now sold to them at really cutthroat prices, and yet they are the producers of corn. So I was like, so is all the engineers we're producing in Cameroon, we can't refine our own crude oil to have this petrol? It's not all about petrol. We have kerosene. For those who even want to cook on with a stove, the kerosene is also very rare at the fuel stations. So we just had to be honest with Cameroonians and say, this is what we are seeing. There is no fuel at the stations, but now the experts came up with a lot of explanations.
Yes,
we have
that is exactly where I was leading to. Tell us, you've told us what you treated and how you treated, collected information, treated and gave it out to the public. What are some of the things that you didn't see that the crisis now is over because we have fuel in the pumps that we can dig? The story behind the story.
Yes, the story behind the story. First of all, we may also want to congratulate Cameroonians who really didn't go that much. It's true that at a few stations there were small fights, like bike riders pushing like who wants to be served first, some insults being thrown here and there, but it didn't escalate into destruction of places. We didn't have shops destroyed, we didn't have stations shattered because of people who were angry. I think more and more we are sensitizing and people are becoming conscientized about the importance of being responsible in the way you ask for things. But also, I'm not in any way going to praise the government, but I think that the government took its time to communicate.
The government communicated?
The
government had communicated. The Minister of Water and Energy came to CRTV and went to some other areas with communicating.
Yes, to reassure citizens that this quantity of fuel is coming, and good enough it came. Like Tuesday we had fuel in stations. It was said on Tuesday it will be there. So it just tells us that more and more we are becoming responsible and mature in the way we handle situations. But still, from our reports, people will have preferred that the situation does not arise before it's being managed. So most of what we gather from our report is we should not wait for the stations to be dry, for all the tanks to be dry, and then we start communicating about it coming. When you're drinking water from this glass, you'll see it going down. You know what level it is at. So
do you remember the official cause, what we know as the official cause of the shortage? Weather.
We are going to try not to accept that, because the weather on the high seas should not be reason enough to have this much delay and this dryness. Because I'm not talking on myself, but from what we have in our different reports, reactions from Cameroonians, how will you not foresee that you are left with this quantity of this number of barrels of petrol in your tanks, and then wait for it to get dry before? When did you place your order? When was the ship supposed to arrive? All of these things, Cameroonians needed the answers, and hoping that it's not going to repeat itself, because we don't want to believe that they'll continue being mature and responsible the way they did.
Thank you very much for your input. When we have accidents, unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen means there are certain things that we will not see in real time that will always come. Now we are dealing with how well that was managed. Exactly, well managed, as you have said. Thank you very much. And I turn to Obi Cyprian Obi, who is the economic desk editor in the Guardian Post newspaper, a daily. You publish 7 on 7?
Yes.
This is
7 on 7.
Yeah, this is good for the country that we have a paper that is on the stance 7 on 7.
Yes.
Now, how did you treat this fuel crisis?
Actually, like many Cameroonians, even my publisher wanted to be emotional about it, trying to feel that we were in a situation that is unacceptable. But during the debate in the newsroom, some of us who have had experiences elsewhere with similar situations had to draw his attention that somewhere out of this country, this is even a perennial problem, fuel crisis. So if we take the fact that So Naira has been down for nearly 5 years now, since 2019. So we have not been producing oil. So many Cameroonians thought that the worst could have happened since then. But the government has managed the situation up to this moment. So if at this moment we have a small crisis like this, we government went a long way to issue a communique, and the Guardian Post was also one of the privileged news organs that had that government communique early, and we looked through it. We saw that it was genuine. The explanation was concrete. Like in every human situation, once in a while such setbacks can occur. So what happened in Togo to cause the delay, and we saw it as normal. It could happen in any other human situation. So my boss was furious that my car had been abandoned in the filling station. I don't know how long it will be there, because there's no way I can just get fuel, and I'm coming back here. We must hit. I said no, we cannot hit because so when
by saying you must hit, what
that's like you carry on the front page and blow it up. Well, we did not. We personally, I intervened to make sure that we mellow it down. This is not the worst that can happen to us.
This is something
and also government has promised that it would be. I mean, we were talking of something of 2 days. It will be all right.
Exactly.
So why then
that is where we are asking you questions. Yeah. You didn't put it on the front page. CRTV carried it on headlines. All the other media organs and newspapers carried on headlines for 1 week and more and counting. You didn't put it on front page.
Yes, like I said, as a responsible newspaper, we didn't want to join the alarmists to overblow the situation.
Is that not also escaping the facts? Because if you state the facts and state them responsibly, and that's why we are here, the Cameroonians should know by just getting a copy of your newspaper or even glancing at the stands. Somebody just sees there should be able to know that this is what is happening. You didn't state the facts.
You carried the story. We reported on the crisis, but we didn't want to be alarmist. That's like I said. Okay. We didn't want to join the crowd to blow the matter out of proportion, because we know our position in the nation as a frontline newspaper, and anything that the Guardian Post highlights could lead to any other thing.
More than CRTV, we carried it on CRTV in all our newscasts.
Information. Most Cameroonians also are skeptical about the government media, so they trust,
including you. CRTV will show pictures. We did not fabricate the pictures.
It's not like CRTV that was showing the pictures. Like I said, there are worse situations elsewhere. We're around in some neighboring countries, fuel crisis has become a perennial problem.
Yes, I will let you go back.
And we have only one refinery that has been down for 5 years, and the government has been able to be managing this situation up to this moment, and we are not in a crisis. So this 2 days of lack of fuel, and I mean, in only 3 towns, just by Douala, Bafoussam, and Yaoundé. What if it is all over the nation?
No,
for 2 or 3 days.
When there's no fuel in the country.
It was only 3 towns that were hit. Douala, Yaoundé, and Bafoussam.
Do you know why it was acute in Yaoundé, Douala?
Because of the population.
So you didn't get that. Not that they had the normal supply. No, they didn't have normal supply, but the situation was acute in Yaoundé, Douala.
Yes, it was acute in Douala.
But we still, just the last thing for you, we still think that is why this topic is here. In crisis, can some facts be irresponsible reporting?
That is exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
Now we think that by not giving the facts, you could also not let people know what was happening, and then the reaction would be what they think should be.
We did let the people know. I don't think we have to carry every story on the front page in order for people to know. Those who read the Guardian Post saw that we carried the story about the fuel crisis inside the newspaper.
Yes,
we didn't highlight it on the front page because we didn't want to be alarmist like every other person was thinking.
Thank you.
We are doomed because of 2 days of a crisis.
Some people describe your paper as alarmist on many fronts. Was it only this one that you decided not to be alarmist on?
I think in the profession in which we are, people always have the right to take their positions.
Okay.
But so when you describe us as you are describing, some other person will describe us too in a different way. Okay. So it's normal that when you operate in the context of heterogeneity, people would always. But we know where we stand, and then we are a nation-building newspaper.
Thank you very much. I give you that credit. It's for the others to also appreciate you. Killian, you're a freelancer journalist. You also an economic journalist, chronicler. I should give you that because that's what you are. How do you appreciate this? How did you handle your reporting what just happened?
Let me just start by saying that I completely disagree with Cyprian when he's saying that it was not necessary, it was alarmist to highlight these issues on the front pages. This is an issue that touches everybody, and it was necessary to carry it on the front pages so people are informed about what's going on. Just imagine that people stay in the dark. That you stay in the dark, you don't know what has caused the fuel shortage, you don't know anything. The people start giving interpretations to what is happening, and that could be extremely dangerous. So I think the government did a good job with the communication, explaining what actually led to the delays. But again, that explanation doesn't just hold water, because we have weather specialists. They should have previewed that there would be weather disruptions, and therefore you should be proactive when you are doing this kind of thing. So particularly I didn't when you're a freelancer, you depend on the asking price from the editors. So if you pitch and then the editor doesn't think that it's a very serious story, then you don't need to cover it. But this is something that happens almost in several other countries. In Nigeria, for example, there's been a lot of fuel scarcity linked to the fact that the dollar price per vessel was extremely expensive. So it's difficult for people to easily import. So these are some of the, and I agree with Cyprian when he was talking about Sonara going down. For 5 years, the country has not been, refining oil, and that means that we've been importing almost everything that we consume. So I think the government did for once, did a good job.
Not for once.
Explaining to
did
people,
again a good job.
explaining to you what was happening on the ground, and that's why I think Cameroonians kept calm, knowing that it was just a temporary disruption in the supply chain.
Yes, uneasy calm, because the calm were not happy, so it was an uneasy calm.
Yes, we agree. By myself, I was afraid. There's just no reason to object to what you were saying. I will give Henshaw the microphone. I will come back to you, all of you, especially you reporters, to tell us no one has mentioned any other cause, and we know about the marketers, we know about subsidies, and we know those are not unconnected with what is happening. But as a civil society actor, truly, are you the ones who educated Cameroonians more this time to be able to handle such a delicate issue, fuel crisis, with a lot of maturity?
Thanks once more for giving me the floor. Cameroonians have been suffering for the past 10-20 years. If it's not crisis, it's water shortage. If it's not water shortage, it's electricity, and fuel is coming to add. And sometimes people have been clamoring that things will change. Us from the civil society, we have been advising, we have been hitting hard on the government as well as other organizations handling consumers' products to make sure that the ministries in charge of those commodities for the population should make sure that things go on well in Cameroon. Cameroonians have been so mature in their ways of seeing and doing things, because many people before had lost their lives for some type of fighting which is not been paying, and some of us have discovered that some people are double standards when it comes to civil society. They can send people to the streets, whereas behind they are negotiating with some government officials taking monies, and people have understood that if we are not mature in the way of handling things cannot move on well in this country. I was in Mobile Vogada on Wednesday to get the aspect of how fuel is being managed there, I saw there were many people. You had people with gallons, vehicles, as well as motor taxi people scrambling to have fuel. And I went closer there, tried to conscientize those people who were around that they shouldn't smoke around, because that would have been a dangerous thing. I saw one guy was smoking, was in his car. I told that guy, how can you be doing such a thing? You are smoking besides a filling station and there are many people around. This can cause to a disaster, which is not going to be good for you, neither for us who are wanting this fuel here. The guy said he's sorry, it's because of this tension that he's smoking to cool down his tension. And more to that, I went to the guy who is selling the fuel, tried to advise him that I've noticed that there are some people who are coming here with gallons to buy, not to go and put in their cars, but they are buying to go and sell in higher prices. For example, someone might come and buy fuel for 5,000 because the normal price which was established for each and individual was 5,000 francs. Somebody will come and buy for 5,000 francs, but we go and sell it for 7,000 or 8,000 francs, and there were many of them like that, depriving those who were really in need. So there was a lot of businesses there, and at one point they had to call for police people to come and try and put order there, and it went on smoothly. After 2-3 hours, almost everybody was safe there.
Thank you very much for that work that you did. As a civil society actor, I think that's just what you're supposed to do, and this message is good today, it is good tomorrow. Thank you for that work, well done. Now let us look at, you've been talking about what happened, what you saw. Let us look at exactly the situation we review and see in this joint report by Clarice Takan and Roslyn Fossa, Yaoundé and Douala situations.
Up to Bonabere before I could get fuel. They don't sell for more than 2,000. A distance where I used to find 500, I'm now obliged to take 700.
This is just one of the many experiences of drivers and car owners since tanks went dry in fuel stations in Douala. The patience some of them have exercised these past days to get the precious liquid still remains a mystery and a record they hold dear.
It's been 3 days today. I'm here since 5 o'clock, but till now I don't have fuel.
Have you ever seen bees scrambling for honey? Come to the Mobibona Kwangwa, where consumers are packed to capacity to get at least a quantity to help them for a day. Yet another charge has been included in the normal fuel price known as security.
This is the only place where I could get fuel. It is a war fight here. You cannot be served more than 10 liters. I took 10 liters instead of paying 7,300. I paid 8,000 because they have to pay for security.
Over at the Petroleum Depot Company, officials in charge of communication attest the availability of some 13,000 cubic meters of fuel since 1 a.m. this morning. It is a to and fro movement animating the site as marketers are rushing with their tanks to fill their stations. Consumers will thus see their struggle come to an end soonest while waiting for the other 2 ships transporting fuel to anchor in the days ahead, as communicated by the Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elundo Esomba.
Of voices expressing frustration, anger, irritation at a situation stretching nerves thin. At this filling station, news about the availability of premium fuel brought a rush to get the commodity. But then,
I've been here for about 3 hours and I've not gotten fuel. With an empty tank, I can't work. I parked my bike for over 2 hours in order to get fuel. I cannot work. I've been here since morning. I've been here since 8 a.m. with an empty fuel tank. At more than midday, I don't even know if I'll work today.
the impact on daily activities is telling.
I've been here all morning to get fuel and no way. I can't even talk about work. My day is lost. Now my kids had to go to school on foot. I can't work.
A trip to other filling stations presented a similar scenario, and where there was no queue, the answer was clear. Motorists had to simply go scouting for fuel elsewhere. A press release from the Ministry of Water and Energy explains the current fuel pressure as being due to unfavorable climatic conditions which delayed loading at the Lome port. It equally indicates the presence of a vessel carrying 13,000 cubic meters of premium fuel already at the Douala seaport and transportation arranged to convey the product, but also measures to meet end-of-year demands for the commodity. Meanwhile,
I spent the night here. I ran out of fuel on the highway. I've got fuel now and I'm relieved. I bought for 7,000 francs.
His wait may have paid off. However, with different realities to deal with, waiting long hours to buy fuel is a luxury many inhabitants admit they cannot afford, hoping for a positive turnaround soon in order for them to get back to their businesses.
Well, we've seen again how delicate that situation was. Thank God is behind us. But we cannot go into what I promised we are going to ask you. I will ask you, but there's something which we were almost going to miss out on: the involvement of the police and the gendarmerie. Without them, we will also not be talking about the same thing here.
Peacekeepers.
Yes.
We did a lot of work at Carrefour BMRC, I think on Thursday when Phil came at the stations at Carrefour BMRC. It was really rough, and I just want to hail the police. They did a really at one point I felt impatient on their behalf, like how people would talk to them. All what they wanted was just for circulation to continue, because cars were parked right into the roads, and so those who had their fuel in their tanks could not move because you looking for fuel, you were parked right into the road, and it was a really very long line, a very long queue, and they did a good job at Carrefour BMRC, Carrefour Etuke, all those junctions everywhere. Yes. Acacia was just a story not to be told. It's a good job. I think that we didn't record any excesses. Also, our report anyway, we didn't have people who complained of excesses because everybody was tensioned. But Kilian, I think we also are going to use this opportunity to remind citizens of how dangerous fuel really is, because we are thankful to God nothing happened, no fires sparked, but just imagine
we got some social media. We don't rely on social media, but it has been proven all the same in the West region, where someone smoked and then dropped the stem of the cigarette, and were it not for the timely intervention of the local fire extinguisher, it would have been something else. So we join you to say that there was no incident as such. But also talking about the gendarmerie and the police, they did not only organize people to queue up and in an orderly manner, they made sure that nobody hoarded, nobody had fuel and refused to serve, because they went to the tank and said, dip where you say you don't have, dip the barrel and let us be sure that is empty. Yes, you were so itchy.
Artificial scarcity was not
correct. Here I saw such a situation at Total Council, where you had elements of B who went to the tank. Told those guys at the filling station to open their well because you have to cross-check. They were saying that the fuel is finished, and those guys were so furious that people are in need of fuel. Why are you not serving people? Because you want to sell those fuel in black market. That is not normal. That's how the guys started selling. Then I went to Takavo. I met some guys who were standing there, some 5 or 6 bike guys with 2 cars. I asked them, is there fuel here? They responded to me that there's fuel, but these people don't want to sell the fuel. I said, why? He told me that they are waiting for some late hours to start selling at extraordinary prices. I went to the guy who is in charge of the filling station, the chef de station. I asked him that, but you see what you are doing like this, you might cause your filling station to be sealed by the government. This is not something which is good. You should open up so that people start receiving their fuel. He said he's going to do that, but not instantly. It's going to be a type. So some 45 minutes, 1 hour later, he started serving fuel.
Thank you for that very great job of civil society actor you did around the town, and we want to call for other people to do that each time we have such crisis. Now, in just about 3 minutes, I want to dig into some other causes. We are told that because of subsidies that were not paid, whether you also, the economists, you're investigated into that story, we have subsidies. It's normal that government has been owing those people. The marketers sometimes they play games and
well, I don't know, but because the idea of subsidies doesn't mean that the government is removing money from the treasury and giving anybody. The subsidies come because the government is not collecting taxes from those marketers. That's the meaning of those subsidies. In 2022, the government subsidized fuel to the tune of about 900 billion, but that 900 billion corresponds to the taxes that the marketers were supposed to pay the government. That's the idea of subsidies. So the way the government communicates this thing, it gives the impression that they are taking money from the treasury and actually physically giving to these marketers. That's false. So this thing, I don't think that is a question of subsidies. If it were a question of subsidies, we might be talking about, maybe a hike in prices. If the government fails to pay subsidies, that means the government starts collecting taxes on fuel, then we will be talking about price hikes.
In that case, the marketers should be blamed. That's what you say?
No, I don't think the marketers, if the thing was the weather,
when you say government doesn't give fiscal cash, that is deducted from the transactions, the taxes. No, the marketers should just bring it in and present the receipts without the taxes. So in that case, they should be blamed. Okay.
The marketers, they are saying that there was disruption in the supply chain.
Okay.
You are not going to blame them for that.
Okay.
They didn't cause the weather problems in Togo.
Or we should just blame them for not being proactive enough to know that they should place their orders well ahead of time, knowing the quantity of oil or fuel they see had in their tanks left.
Yes.
The civil society man has already talked about one of the malpractices that can be perpetuated in this type of situation, of some dealers hoarding the product, waiting for such situations so that they sell at higher prices. Yes. And the vigilance of the security forces, as he pointed out, was able to solve that problem in one of the filling stations.
In all those,
but you realize that could just be a tip of the iceberg. There could be more to it than one of the other situations where they couldn't unveil to the public to see. There is need for a lot of vigilance as far as these operators are concerned, because they can intentionally plunge us into a scarcity situation in order to
thank you very much. The vigilance was
we must also understand the stance of the IMF now, because the IMF is telling Cameroon to start collecting those taxes and then pay the debts that Cameroon has incurred with the IMF.
Okay.
So if that happens, we are going to see price hikes.
Yes, and there's also an information, now the present government in Nigeria is fighting against what we know Zoazua. It's making prices to be very expensive, even in Nigeria, and before people used to use adulterated fuel. I was in Limbe some 3 weeks ago. The amount is no more the same. It has increased because there is no more smuggling, and if it's smuggling, they are going to pay higher before they get the fuel.
It's because the new administration in Nigeria actually has removed subsidies. And that disrupted supplies in towns like Marwa, Garoua, and so on. So you start to see a hike in prices of the north.
Yes, right now we've talked so much about that field. We talk about responsible reporting generally. We're going to take a round of the table, of the set, talking about facts extending to the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. In crisis, can some facts, if by giving them raw, giving it the way it is, because it is said that journalism is about the truth. You tell the truth, you make it fair by getting both sides of every story, and being responsible in the way you send that information out. Also given that it's difficult to sometimes to get the two sides of that information. So, open to you for discussion.
Killian, see, I'm from the Northwest and also from the Southwest. But you know, when the crisis started, we had a lot of occasions to go up to the village and back, going to Boya and back. And when in the newsroom, you are saying what you have gone there and seen. During the news conference, we discussed what story should be treated in what angle. Some people who are in Yaoundé will not really understand what you're talking about. So one of my colleagues, a French-speaking colleague, had an event, or something happened, and he went to the Northwest, crossed over and went, I think, to Womb Inside Woman. When he came back, his narrative changed. The way he would defend a topic during the news conference changed, because he went and saw firsthand what's happening. So I just keep saying that even in as much as we try not to let emotions carry us when we are reporting these things, there are some things we really cannot pretend that will not report. For example, if you travel the Babajo road, there's no way you're going to sit quiet without talking about the state of the road. You won't mask it because it is evidence for all to see. We don't want to just announce by
you are giving examples. You continue to speak. Right. You're giving examples now. In a crisis situation, we've had so many conflicting figures on deaths and on some other things. You will not go there because it's a death zone. How do you reconcile to give the real facts or to verify the facts and to give a balanced report on that?
At times, most of the times, probably I'm guilty, but most of the times we just avoid those figures when they are so big. You know, it gets scary. No matter how tough you think you are, when you hear like, an incident in a village has led to, let's say, 40, 50 deaths, you will be scared. So we just say,
you will not tell the truth.
It's not about
that. You're not telling the truth. Let's get it from
about protecting the well-being of citizens.
Anyhow, the National Communication Council will bounce.
No, it's not about the NCC in the first place. It's about just making sure that people are not that scared in their own country, just not sending people away from their villages, making people not to be afraid of
we think that from the definition of what we have as journalism, there is a problem. Yes, Killian.
I think that to tell only one side of the story is essentially to lie. When Emmanuel was doing her press review, I captured some headlines. She talked about barbaric acts. Another person talked about Lucifer's curse. You see, you might be the Guardian Post. I think they said suspected Amber abductors. That one is much more neutral, and you have not changed the facts, but the way you have reported makes the whole difference. When you say barbaric acts, that adjective changes the whole scenario, because you are becoming a little bit more emotional.
Let me ask you. We've understood you are emotional. Let me ask you. You have pictures of barbaric acts. No, please. Let us be very frank. You actually have pictures, facts about barbaric acts,
and then you describe responsibility journalism.
Yes,
that brings us to the central theme that you are trying to evoke there.
Yes,
responsible journalism.
So
if Amber attacks you and kills 10 people, and I announce that Amber has killed 10 people, and then you say Amber has brutally, killed 10 people, we have not told a lie, but your headline can cause more problems than it solves, because the words that we use especially in crisis reporting, they matter a lot. They matter a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I give you credit to that. Yes.
Yeah, Killian just said something over there. I do remember in those days when I was at the Protestant West of Central Africa reading peace and development, and our friends were doing peace journalism. We had a common course on that, how to respond in times of crisis, and the choices of words are very important when it comes to reporting. For example, there might be, let's say, people who are dead. You present the number of people who have died, in a certain way is going to be different from the way you present it with emotions. It's going to cause more problems than solving the problems. It's very important when it comes to reporting, when it comes to peace journalism and communication. And there are times when you present the facts, but when presenting the facts, your manner of presenting the facts matters a lot, and it's going to make sure that those people who are hurt will not be too much hurt. It's very important when it comes to reporting. Thank
you very much. There is also this conflict that has been going on, especially in Northwest, Southwest. It has been happening also in the far north, where we had the Boko Haram and in other areas, where at one point you have something has been done. There's an incident, there are killings, there are some other destructions, and people on one side are saying there are these forces that have done. The forces are saying that how do you report, because you must report self-defeating?
I can answer. In that situation, you don't call that is a military or is a belligerent. You say that unknown gunmen, because you cannot really detect who did it.
Absolutely.
We are reporting. We are not calling somebody, a particular person, whether it's a military or is a belligerent or separatist.
If you have testimonies, what do you do? Because sometimes you have sources. Then talking about sources, let me look at someone who had something. He is Thomas Frank. I jotted that, who says that journalists are watchdogs, and he says there is no higher claim to journalistic integrity than to go into jail to protect a source.
It's true. That's why I see some people, they don't disclose their sources of information.
So if you have credible source, can you give and protect the source and even go to jail?
And I think that if you are looking for a source, it means that you intentionally want to bring out a particular angle. The question is, when we have this training on peace or conflict reporting, how to report during crisis, what do you want to bring out? What is the goal of that report?
Are you deciding what to say, or you are saying the truth?
You are saying you are being fair, but you are also making sure that you don't spark, you don't aggravate the situation. It is true we want to report on the crisis, but this my report, is it going to make things worse, or going to create bigger revolts, or is going to bring down the temperature? Because, for example, you can begin the story with 50 people have been killed by gunmen, or you can now say the village is in trouble because some souls have been lost. Just the choice of words, where you place which article first.
That is in times of crisis.
In times of crisis, you are going to watch out your words. We all know that at one point we feel this anger, like, why is this person doing this thing? But after this report, what impact is it going to create? Because absolutely, as watchdogs of the society, we are not only there to condemn, we are also there to build. And if it does not go well, social responsibility, if we do not report adequately with the intention of solving the crisis, we might be fueling the crisis and making it go worse by calling names and making the situation look worse.
And that's where the National Communication Council comes in to regulate those type of situations. And in all countries, you have regulatory boards to regulate a certain field of study or a certain sector.
The point is facts. We're talking about facts. Will you be condemned by the National Communication Council by giving facts, proven facts? That I agree with you that you have to have a sense of social responsibility. But what if you are cold and you are a journalist? You say, I'm giving my facts. Come rain,
what purpose? What's the purpose?
What I wanted to say, should journalists just limit themselves
in giving facts?
Yes, just reporting anything without trying to reason. Okay, if I report, or I've been reporting for 6 years, like the crisis, like the Southwest Northwest crisis, see how long it has derailed. Don't you think it gets to a point where you start questioning whether you should keep on reporting that thing when the fundamental problems are not being resolved?
The drama actually is.
So is it just keep on doing for 6 years? You hear an incident happen to you, here and there, you hear emphasis on reporting instances when nobody cares about any effort.
You cannot say nobody
giving rise to this crisis.
You cannot say nobody
crisis. Don't you think that even you, the reporter, starts wondering, getting fatigue reporting
abandoning your role.
For 6 years. Nothing is happening. The problem is
the number of houses.
Is it just to keep on
in most cases, we do not try to address the root causes of the crisis, and that is not how you cover conflict. You've got to look at the root causes, address those issues, adopt a multi-stakeholder approach. That means that you are saying that it's not only the government versus AMBA.
Yes.
It involves civil society, it involves the churches, it involves even the international community, because all of these actors, you need to bring them together. And when you report that way, you are beginning to lay the basis for a conversation.
My conversation, yes.
Thank you. That also will be our last word.
Yes, I'm happy it's my last word. So there are other situations where we also talk about crisis, like for a short period of time, figures from the Ministry of Women's Empowerment gave a large number of women who were killed in femicide. So now, as a gender activist myself, I'm a feminist. If I'm reporting these stories, what am I pushing for? Am I pushing for women to become violent on men, or I'm pushing for men to stop being violent on women? That's about reporting the violence. But what am I looking for in my report? I'm not going to tell women that, because men are beating women, start beating men as well. No.
Are you going to say that may be interpretation? You're talking about giving facts. That's
giving the figures is true, but what are you looking for while putting forward these facts? Is what is
social responsibility. And we're going to get your own last contribution, just the way forward. Henshu, in 30 seconds.
The way forward is that the government should do provisions before any situation. They should not wait for the last minute where things are already read before coming to act as if they are always surprised, because government has all the experts, all the technicians to make sure that things goes on very well. But if they are waiting for the last minute, I bet you with this type of situation, we are not going to go further.
Thank you very much. Yes, you had your own last word.
To say, responsible reporting does not just come from the air.
Yes.
So what if a society will be able to look at the press? What type of press do we want? And for a developing country like Cameroon, I think we need a press that is focused on development communication. Development communication is not, we find ourselves in a situation where we try to mimic what the West handed down to us, and we have never really thought of how do we use the press to build our nation.
Thank you very much. I give you lady and gentlemen. Talking about ladies, we had our Promise Akante, who is a journalist with This TV, Cam 10 TV. We have Kilian Ngala, freelance journalist. He's also, and most importantly, an economist journalist. We had Cyprian Obi Ntiamba, who is the economic desk, the Guardian Post newspaper, and Henshu Orok Are, who is a civil society actor who has proven to us that he did a lot to calm the situation that we've just come out from. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. This program will be rebroadcast on Monday at 2:30 p.m. Have a good day.